What's up, brothers, sisters? Kunal here, Bulls on Wall Street. Guys, hopefully you guys are having an awesome Sunday. Happy Sabbath. We got a lot of things to talk about in the stock market as Friday was another kind of nasty little down day. And so we're in a interesting spot in the market. So let's spend some time digging into the stock market and the indices, and then let's go over some potential trades for tomorrow. I'm going to keep the watch list short because, right now there's just not a lot of good looking stocks, and you don't want to be in this market right now and just be too balls deep on stuff. We got to be a little bit more selective till the price action gets better. So a couple things that we've noticed here, right, is that we've had kind of a little bit of a rollover, in classical terms. This is called the head and shoulders, but that pattern doesn't work really as well as it used to, 50 years ago or whatever. But we are at a precarious spot here, right in the QQQs, where we did break under the, our last low, and we're kind of in a zone of support here that I think is important. This is a big support level, right? It goes back a little bit of ways. And so, for this coming week, if you're a bull, you want to see that hold. Now, for us, it does not matter. Bulls, bears, whatever, right? We're short-term traders. And so, when the price action stinks, you either sit out or you can, you just start scalping and you just play shorter time frames. But this is not right now like a buy and hold type of spot. This is just hey, make some income and then live to fight another day spot. So what do we want to see tomorrow? If we break under this, then, we're going to have to probably get short this market. Now, we are at a big support here, right? We're not necessarily oversold. We just had a couple big down days, so we could very well chop around. But this is the thing. If the market bounces tomorrow, it's got a lot of supply to eat through. And so this is not going to be like, this will take time to heal this. Because if you start bouncing here, you got to eat through this high, and then you got to break this series of lower highs. That's not an easy tell right now, especially with a lot of the kind of leading stocks kind of looking a little bit weak. So just be careful right now. I think, we had a good day on Friday, day trading, but dude, my hold times were like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Like it wasn't, right? Like you're taking a buck here, buck there, and you're just kind of adding it up. The SPY itself here is on a weird spot too, right? We're at just a big sweet spot. And, these are the levels that need to hold. If we don't hold here, then we've got room down to maybe somewhere, I would say, into this zone would be, I think, the next bounce spot. So if we come down here, we've got maybe another 10 points, right, to drop before we really find some support. So that's gonna, that's another couple percent right there. So keep an eye on this stuff, right? If you look at the IWM too, this is sitting right on the 200-day moving average, but the price action's just been so nasty. If this, if the market bounces tomorrow, maybe you can catch a bounce off the 200 because it does like the bounce there. You could do some calls for, midweek or something like that. If the market catches a bounce, otherwise it's probably just a leave alone. But that would be my play. If I think the market's going to bounce tomorrow, I'm waiting for this thing break under, test the lower Bollinger Band, and then I probably get some like Wednesday calls and, and swing it back for a couple days. But that's not the easiest play. That's not like a trend trade, right? That's just a bounce trade. Typically the best trades are momentum trades, trend trades. Now, if you look at, some of these other sectors, they're not looking very good, right? So like you have a big breakdown in XLF. So this is your banks, right? Banks are banks, but this is a big rollover pattern. So this is where we are. Like we're not seeing necessarily any sectors really look that good. If you look at biotechs, right? I mean, look at this, right? This is like, in our heads, oftentimes because of the way these quantum stocks were going and some of these other stocks, it's like, oh, this is the hottest bull market of all time. But it was in those handful of names, some of these small caps and, right, these runners like the robots and quantums. But otherwise, right, if you're talking about just regular stocks, like this is just a big giant, right, poo-poo platter. If you look at China, even after all that stimulus talk, right, just a nasty, nasty McGee right here, right? Like you had all the stimulus talk, and they've now had 4 announcements of more stimulus, and it's still not, right? Still not getting anything going. So just something to keep in mind of there's not really any good looking sectors right now. You know, if you're looking here at really, man, anything besides like natural gas and oil, those are probably the 2 that I saw that, right, kind of look like they have a chance right here, right? Like they have these, this is oil, looks like it's about, could break out, you know, natural gas looks like, right, it could break out. And so you got a couple things there that are holding up. You know, beyond that, you know, not much, right? Ain't much here. Look at this. So if you do a you know, 5-day sort, right, the only thing that was up was VIX and oil. Like really everything else is down, 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 down. And so that's why when you go through kind of your watch lists and stuff, you're not necessarily seeing like a lot of hot names, right? And then let's take a look at just, you know, general market breadth here. So if you look at the market breadth, hold on here 1 second. Oh, there it is. Bump, 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 bump. If you look at market breadth here, this is the T2107% of stocks over. It's the 200-day moving average. Only 38% of stocks in quite a big drop, right? So the market breadth was getting worse and worse even before the market really started to roll over, right? So it did give a little bit of a clue. Your T2108's at 20 for the first time since, I don't even know, right? First time since November 2023. And this is going to be the sweet spot. Guys, the market has pretty much bounced every time this T2108 gets into this kind of 10-15 zone since I can remember. So let's just overlay this with the QQQ. So, you know, a little bit more nastiness and we'll be there. So if you look here, right, like during this phase here, right, the market went on this huge run. And so we've had like a couple times here where we've gotten into the 20s and the market's gone on big multi-month runs. And so, you know, having this kind of weakness here is good for the markets because one more big flush down, I think is going to get all the charts probably so oversold that on a market breadth basis that we'll get a nice rally. So this, if you're a bull, this is actually what you want to see. You want to see these things ripping down. You know, let this thing, like in August, like how awesome was that, right? The runs that come after that, right? In August when you got that big waterfall down to the 200-day moving average, that set up the next run, right? And so we need that. These stocks need time to base out. So let's take a look at the watch list. Like I said, the indices are on supports. They're all on some support, but they're not like easy trend supports. We're stuck in a range and we're in that a little bit of a chop zone and a grind down. So this is not the time to be like super aggressive. You want to kind of pick your spots as you go through. So I'll have a short watch list here of some longs and shorts here. But, you know, I think this WBA bucked things yesterday or on Friday, 100 million shares in volume. You had good range on this, up 30%. Nice bottoming pattern. You know, this is the kind of name, right? You have some fresh news out that could work in this market. I put FAZ on the watch list. To the Phasmobile, my friends. You know, this is the 3X ETF that shorts banks. And, you know, you've got all of this kind of stuff happening here. And, you know, that could be a little something there too, right? So you've got a little bit of, you got a little bit of stuff going on there. And, you know, the banks are looking nasty. And, you know, I don't even know, like, you know, maybe take a look at the insurance companies and stuff like that, right? This fire in California is got bigger and bigger. I think the initial damage they said was 50 billion, and now the estimates are like, you know, 100 billion or 150 billion. That's going to be, right? That's going to be hot. So keep an eye on that one. You know, I think, you know, on a relative strength basis, I don't know how much of this was options expiration or not, but dude, this Meta, I mean, it got down to 597, it popped fucking 35 points. I mean, that's a nice doohickey right there. So we got ourselves a little spot on this one. You know, Taiwan Semiconductor, after that breakout to all-time highs, is, you know, retesting. Now, it does have earnings out this week, so just kind of be mindful of that. that will give a big clue into the state of the market, how that stock reacts to its earnings. If they beat on their earnings and give a lot of good AI speak and it still doesn't do much, then maybe the shift in the market will last longer than this, couple weeks that it's been in. We'll use this earnings to kind of give us some clues on how the price action is going to be in 2025. Every year, the market has subtle shifts in price action of kind of what's working and not working. Obviously, 2024 is a big year for the semiconductors. How this reacts to its earnings will give us a nice tell. Hey, these robot companies held up pretty good. This serve, big pop, pull back into the bone zone. I think they even got a dilution out of the way. Up 11% on a Friday. What's the iRobot? This one, right? This one's got a nice, you got a bigger term breakout happening here, and you got a nice kind of low volume pullback, big volume, low volume pullback to the 9 EMA. Something like that could work. I didn't check the other little ones like RR because it's not a good market for, right, these kind of the ones that were like really, really hot, like just based on the action on RGTI and right sound, the bubbles deflated on these. So that'll be a little bit of a nasty McGee, but I do think they'll have one last gasp of like dead cat bounce. So if you see, big gap down on sound tomorrow, through the 50 maybe, you could probably bounce it for the day and it'd probably be a decent setup, get back up to here. But then, I think these things are a little bit long in the tooth after that. Hey, CEG, this was a nice smooth trader on Friday. Dude, if you look at this, my man Thayer was playing this thing. Nice smooth trade. This doesn't look like much, right? But these are 15-point runs. Like this thing opens up, it pops through this 30, 25 points. This is 15 points. Like this is 15 points, 20 points. It doesn't look like much, right? Because you're like, $300 stock, blah, blah, blah. That's okay, man. You can shred on those bad boys. So, add something like that to the watch list. And I think this NBIS is, this is a heater right now. The volume accumulation's nice. You had relative strength. You got a little bit of everything on this name. This is also an AI name. That thing is hot. So keep an eye on that. And then, I would do a little scan for just like the most oversold of these kind of large caps. PLTRs at 9 stochastics are sitting on the 50-day moving average. So maybe something like that. Even Tesla is kind of holding up here. If you look at, Tesla on a different time frame, it's like on the weekly chart right here. It's just sitting here on the 9 EMA. And then on the daily chart, it's starting to rise. It's starting to hold here. So you are getting into maybe a little bit of a bounce zone. It's not necessarily like a hot bounce zone or anything, right? Like it would be better if it kind of, came down maybe into the 50-day moving average and a little bit lower. But it has retraced almost $100. So you're getting into that sweet spot where maybe a week open on this one, probably, watch it for the red to green. Otherwise, just short list. We don't need much, guys. NBIS, CG, Serve, TSM, Meta, FAS, WBA, PLTR. Keep some Tesla, and then have some go-to stocks that you can trade. And, keep an eye on FAS and stuff like that. These banks look kind of nasty if we need some shorts. This was down 2.5%. That's a lot more than its normal ATR. So, I think that these banks, we could be shorting these. And frankly, it's better just if you, instead of going into individual banks, you can just short this XLF or buy the 3X ETFs, right? On FAS. And then, you can roll some options on XLF or something along that line. So, guys, hopefully that helps. Let me know if you guys need anything. Sorry for the late post. Dude, my class ran late. Peace.